We're back, y'all. Episode 14 of the Men Lie, Women Lie,
Damn, it's
and All
14
Flowers
already?
Die podcast. Yes, it is. Don't interrupt me during my intro. No.
We're starting. I brought you a coffee.
Thank
That's how
you,
you treat
and
me.
an empanada. Thank you.
That's how you
it.
treat me. Nah.
I was gonna do your fly introduction, and you.
All right, go ahead. Rewind.
This is the co-host.
Rewind.
Liz.
Go ahead.
No. Welcome to episode 14 of the Men Lie, Women Lie, and All Flowers Die podcast. Your lovely host, Mama Les. I am her assistant, Uncle Joe. And today we are here to discuss PTSD, childhood trauma, and a term that I just created called PTRD, post-traumatic relationship disorder. So if you've ever been in a traumatic relationship, which 99% of us have, make sure y'all hit the page at Men Lie _, Women Lie _ All Flowers Die. Sound like that? Or Men _ Lie? It's a bunch of shit. Make sure y'all
Before
check
we
it out.
start, though, I want to address something.
Uh-oh.
And
Mind you,
I wasn't going to.
Mama Les was doing Zumba before the episode. So
I wasn't going to.
Go, hit me.
Right?
I like being addressed.
But apparently...
All your girls want me. I knew it. No, go ahead.
Anyways. So apparently
Wow.
on TikTok...
Yes.
My forehead is a hot commodity.
Oh, shit, I seen that shit this morning.
My forehead is a hot commodity with your TikTok followers.
I seen a comment this morning that said, I think somebody was going to pay you to headbutt somebody or something.
Listen, if I can monetize it, oh no, all the time. So listen, it doesn't offend me at all. And I told you, we had a conversation about it.
Because I would have deleted it.
He would have deleted it.
I would have deleted
or
the comments
he
because
was going to go back and like respond.
That's right.
And I was like,
tell him your mama got a
don't
big
do
head.
that.
Yeah.
Like, listen.
I'm sticking up for you.
What? No, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But I've had this forehead my whole life. All you're doing is stating the obvious, right? Like it's there.
I think
like some of them are funny though. Like I've responded to some laughing.
I think they're low-key trying to holler at you.
Hold on. So I have a few things to say about that, right? And I wasn't going to address it because I was like, oh, I shouldn't give them any time.
I like that you're addressing it.
It gets a little boring, right? When I see a comment and I'm like, oh, maybe it's something that we can like debate on or like, something relevant. And it's a comment about my forehead, right? On every other fucking post that you put, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk about it. So there's a couple of things, right? Number one, you're stating the fucking obvious.
Duh.
Number two, if you're going to make a comment like that, then don't go on my TikTok, liking my pics and following me. Because we're not doing that, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Listen.
Oh, y'all quit riding.
Number three is maybe your parents didn't teach you, right? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. My mom did. So all I'm going to say, right, is don't throw rocks if you live in a glass house. If you can't make that connection of what I'm trying to say, that's on you. Then maybe you should spend less time trying to, project your insecurities on me and go educate yourself and then maybe come back with some comments that are relevant to the topic that we're talking about. That's all I'm going to say.
And I'm going to talk about your mama. Y'all lucky.
And Joe, I don't want you responding
Mama
to any
Les
of
told
those.
me not to respond because I would have shit on your moms. That's how I get
Now we can go back because I'm done. I'm over it.
That's your
I'm
fan
over
club.
it.
The forehead fan club.
Listen, if we could monetize it, let's talk about it. If you're going to comment about my forehead, tell me how I can make money off it. If I got to go headbutt people,
I got it.
Let's do it.
You know how they got feet
Let's
finder?
do it. Can forehead finder.
Forehead finder.
You know how many hot girls there are with big foreheads?
What? You know...
We're a little crazy, but...
You know how... That's a
Listen,
target, y'all.
it
Guys,
is.
that's a target,
It is.
guys. Like...
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Anyway.
Yo, Mama Les came in spicy to
I had
her,
to address it.
to her
It's like-
forehead fan club.
It's so annoying because I think I go in and I'm like, oh, let me see, And I'm like, really? We're talking about I'm like man bashing and you're talking about my forehead.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the only way they can.
But then you're
feel like
projecting
they're
your
getting some
insecurities
revenge.
on me.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Then that sounds like a you issue more than a forehead issue. I'm just saying.
Take that, mother suckers. Yeah.
That's it. That's the last
Because
thing
my
I'm saying
immediate
about
thought
that.
is to delete it. Because I'm like, damn, I don't even want Mama Les to see that, just in case she's offended or upset, right?
Not at
But then
all.
thought two is to just straight up shit on you, and let's go back and forth. And
Neither
let's diss
one.
each
I'm
other.
not shitting on anybody. If that's what you feel you need to do to make yourself feel good, by all means, go ahead, because that doesn't affect me at all.
That'd be fun for me.
But-
and I'll be bored.
But
So,
again,
understand.
don't throw rocks where, if you live in a glass house.
Wow, I feel like maybe you got PTSD from the TikTok.
I don't got PTSD, but I go check people's profiles and make comments, right? And I'm like,
Oh.
But my
there you
mom taught
go.
me not to say anything.
But I like that
mean.
you mentioned that they will mock you in the comments
Yes.
on my page and then proceed to go follow you
and
and like your
all
picture.
my pictures.
Like all the pictures.
All my pictures. And I'm like,
So I was
I
right.
removed them as followers.
You see? They low key trying to holler.
It's a sexy forehead.
They're trying to use the negging technique where they kind
We're
of
like,
diss you.
we're not like 6.
No. I'm
You
just
do that when you're a child.
You're not. You have no idea what their
You're right.
maturity level is
Mm-hmm.
at. They might be 6 in the brain. So guys, stop hating. Why you hating? And if you like it, tell her you like it. Don't beat around the bush. Now, we're here today to talk PTSD, childhood trauma, and PTRD. Mama Les has a theory that all her relationships are trash because of her childhood trauma.
Wow. Never once did those
She ain't
words
say
come out
that.
of my
She ain't
mouth.
say that. Not like that.
Stop.
But she did say that childhood trauma
Yes.
will have an effect on your relationships in the future.
And the way I am in the relationship,
and
not
the way
just
you are. And how the relationships may
person,
end up.
yeah.
And I agree with that 100%. I've spoken on this show previously about what I believed was love as a child by viewing my parents and how that messed me up in a relationship in the future where I ironically, basically my goal was not to push someone away, and unintentionally I pushed them away, right? And that had to do with my lack of communication skills and not being able to love them properly nor display love, and that comes from what I saw as a child. Can you explain or maybe give some different examples of what may cause childhood trauma?
Yeah, I mean, we actually looked it up, Dolly and I, earlier, and there's actually a term for it, right? So it's complex trauma.
Complex trauma.
Right? So if a child suffers emotional, physical, or sexual abuse from a caregiver, it deeply affects how they form relationships later in life.
Okay, emotional, physical, or sexual?
Sexual
Abuse from
abuse. Yeah, emotional, physical, or sexual abuse.
Okay. Now, abuse
It could be anything.
is
Like it sounds like really bad, right? But
right, but what's
even
abuse, right? Because
could be a lot
sometimes
of
you got to hit
things.
your kid upside the head and get them right with the discipline.
I don't think that's physical abuse, right?
But
like
is it
for example,
abuse?
like
If you do
no,
it 5
you're
times,
right.
it might be abuse.
Nah,
If
some
you do it one
kids, some
time,
kids deserve.
they
an
need a
ass
little
whooping.
cocotazo.
Yeah,
That's not
they
abuse,
definitely
guys.
do. Well, I don't know. In terms nowadays, you got to be like walking on eggshells.
Well, no, that's because the kids are called.
Back when I was growing up, I mean, my parents never hit me, but
No, my mom
you?
threw an iron at me once. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Like,
but that wasn't abuse back then. You probably deserved it.
she missed anyway, so I'm okay. But she did throw me when I was an infant, and according to her, this is her story, so I can tell it.
She threw you.
Yeah, so my grandfather died, right? My grandfather had a certain saying that he would always say a silly thing, and I had learned it as a baby. So she got the phone call that he passed while holding me, and I'm repeating his saying because that's probably the only shit I knew how to say as a child. So she says that she flung me across the room, and I hit the wall with the back of my head, and I landed face first in the crib. Psh, and that's why I got this big ass bump on the back of my head, and you can still see it. That's my mom's story. I don't recall, but that's what she told me.
Thank God you're alive.
Yeah, and then she threw an iron at me one time. And missed.
She was like, "Well, you didn't die the first time.
I think it was hot too. That's fucked up.
Let's try again this time."
But hey, word, Mom, I love you. Stop throwing shit at me.
I'm sure you deserved it.
My dad never hit me. No, I'm lying. I tried to fight my dad one time. This is not abuse, and this is going a little off rail. Quick story. I tried to fight my dad one time. I thought I was tough, and I had enough, and I said, we gonna shoot it out man to man. We gonna bust this fade. And he punched me in my shoulder one time, and the fight was over. And I never came back for round two. And Pops, you won. You got that. That one punch to the shoulder, fight ender, bro. My dad got big hands, bro. So shout out to my dad. Now, childhood traumas. I have to tell the audience this, guys. Y'all may be unaware of what your child sees.
Or how they perceive it.
Right. So let's say, for example, a single mom or a single dad has frequent late night visitors. And they assume their child is sleeping or distracted and maybe not aware, but, you know, children be aware and children see things. And that cycle of new men or women filtering through the house is going to affect how that child sees you, the parent, them partners. They're going to resent them partners, and they're going to view relationships kind of as
a merry-go-round.
Like a swinging door, right?
I think that shows a lack of like consistency.
Carry on.
Sorry, I like totally snorted. I mean, is it not right? If you see,
y'all remember Pee Wee Herman with the word of the day? Y'all, if anybody remembers that, rest in peace, Pee Wee Herman. I love you. If y'all remember the word of the day, when they would say it, alarms would go off, and they'd be like, the word of the day. Yo, the word of the show is consistency. So I'm gonna get her something that every time she says it, balloons are gonna drop and fucking confetti and alarms and shit.
But if you think about it, it's true, right? If you have different men or women coming in, and it doesn't even have to be like late night stuff, right? It could just be and as
late
parents,
night kind of makes it worse.
And as parents, right? Like, yes, we have a fault, but I also understand, right? Like, you're just trying to find your next, I guess, like relationship, your next partner, person, your partner.
But there is no
reason for your kids to become involved, right? Unless you think it's something serious, right? But sometimes we also make mistakes, because I've made the mistake, right, of thinking that it's someone that, okay, I see long term. It's been, 8 months, it's been a year, it's been a year and a half, and now I want to kind of bring you into my world.
But you're making a mistake. Humans make
I understand that, right?
But I think we're more referring to a parent who their child would meet every potential partner.
Right. That's different. But I'm saying it can also affect that, even us thinking that we're making the right decision, right? Like, okay, this is someone I see long term, and then it ends up not working out. Right. Now, time has passed, you meet somebody else, right? Before you know it, you've introduced your child without even wanting to maybe 2, 3 other potential partners that you thought could have been long term, right?
But are you also communicating and discussing with your child how relationships work and,
I mean, I have to say, I think there's only really been one person that I brought around that it was a little more than like, so my kids have met 2 people. Well, my older one 3, right? And my little one 2. But the one before this last one was, I just brought you in as a friend, right? So you were around, but they never saw anything, you know, it was just like, that's my friend, right? That's like if you come to like a family party, right? And you're just my friend. The last one was more, right? They saw more of affection, more of a I guess, PDA. A relationship type thing. But
were they jealous?
It does affect, my little one was, but it does affect in a different way, because to this day, although that situation is done and he hasn't been around for a little bit, especially my little one will ask.
Did he hang with the little one? Like, did he interact with him?
Yeah.
I could dig it. That's the danger of, that's the potential danger of dating a single mother. So my last relationship.
Even a single father.
Yeah, or a single father, a single parent, I should have said. My last relationship, my ex had 3 children, and the youngest one was my little bro, my little best friend, And we were together on and off for like 8 years. In about year 7, he realized that his mother and I were in a relationship. He thought for 7 years that I was coming to hang out with him.
There you go. Oh.
You feel me? And so,
That's cute.
so then one day he's like, "Wait, that's your boyfriend." I don't know why I just told that story, but shout out to Eli, man. I miss you and I love you. Word. But I guess because it has to do with dating a single parent, and you may end up forming a bond with a child that is not yours.
Right.
And then when the relationship fails, you actually lose 2 relationships.
Yeah.
And that can lead to PTRD, which
You don't
is
necessarily have to lose 2 relationships, though.
you don't, but it's hard.
It depends on how the situation ended, right? Like,
and it depends on the parent of the child. If you're not the parent, I'm not his father, so there doesn't have to be a relationship. It's up to her more so than even up to him, because he's still a child.
Right, but you also have to make the effort to show that you still want to be, like, yeah, it didn't work out between us, but I still want to be in his life.
But how do you then heal from the breakup while you're still communicating with the person that caused you pain?
That's why I said it all depends on, how it ended, how traumatic it was.
It sucks, but I think,
in
order to heal properly, you got to let them both go.
Sometimes you can't, though, because I'll give you a perfect example. And I'm not knocking anybody, but my ex-husband, he met me with a child already, right? Got married. They had a great relationship, my older son and him. I had a child with him. So when we divorced, there was no not communicating. We had to communicate.
Right.
But he chose to cut off the relationship with my older son.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Now, hold on.
But I would like to hear his
cut
reasoning.
off to an extent, right? Birthdays, he'll still give him a birthday gift, right?
Yeah.
But there's no, like, communication. When there was plenty of nights that they would sit there and play video games all night, they had that, right? So I don't know if he needed that space for himself, right? To kind of disconnect as much as he possibly could, because we still had my little one. I'll never know the answer to that, but...
That it would be interesting to find out the answer, because I would think it would be, well, I guess it depends on the individual, right? Because I would think it would be more beneficial to keep the communication open and fuck the birthday gifts. You know what I'm saying? Like, better to mold and mentor the child than to give them material things. But maybe in order for him to heal properly, that was what he felt was best for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
some of us don't get that
him.
choice. I didn't get a choice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the little homie I had, I think he had a phone, and I had tried to, like, tell him, like, yo, this is my phone number. Call me whenever, regardless of what happens in the future. Like, you can always call me. But I don't think he had that option either. You know what I'm saying? I ended up losing 2 relationships, and that's just whack. Like, little man made me a drawing. That shit is still in my car right now. You know what I'm saying? And that relationship's been, it's been dead for a minute. I can't put an exact time frame on it because it was on and off for a long time. But it's been dead for a while. But I wish I could still communicate with the little critter and fuck with him and hang with him and teach him shit. Because I know
maybe you could in the future once certain conversations are had.
Those conversations will never be had. I suffer from PTRD.
PTRD.
Post-traumatic relationship disorder. I suffer from it. So it affected my ability to enter new relationships. Like, I'm very hesitant to start over. And a wise man once said...
Oh, wait. Who's this wise man?
This wise man's
we haven't
name
had that in a while.
is Axel Leon. And he said, I don't have trust issues. I got issues, trust me. So think about that.
Definitely.
Healing from PTSD or PTRD. Oh, well, before we go into that, I have PTSD. I have PTRD from my last relationship, but I have PTSD from a car accident, and I want to tell you how it affected me, right? So in December of 2019, I was driving to work, and I got hit from behind by a pickup truck. Not a pickup truck. Yeah, a pickup truck. And the force propelled the front of my car into a wall. right? So the car was totaled, all the airbags went off. Thank God I wasn't injured at all. But it affected the way I drove for a long time, even possibly still till today. Like, I'm a naturally slow driver. I'm a naturally slow mover, because a wise man once said,
Who's this wise man?
this wise man is Paulie from Goodfellas. He said he moves slow only because he don't got to move for nobody. And that's how I live my life, right? I don't have to move for shit. So I move at my pace. So I'm a naturally slow driver. But since the accident,
You're extra. You're like a viejita. I got like a viejita.
I'm
too.
like a turtle with two hands,
Like the
the
sloth.
steering wheel. Yo, I'm constantly in my rear view, like, because I got hit from behind. So I'm always looking to
Like the
see, like, is
paranoid-
this
yeah.
person going to fucking hit me from behind? And then I don't get close to the car in front of me. Like, I'll keep, like, a 3-car distance between myself and the car in front of me, especially if we're going faster. Yo, I think I hit 60 miles an hour for the first time in
Damn, you drive slower than I do.
2019, 3 years, like, last week. Yo. For real. Like,
Yeah, no, that's.
that accident really messed me up. So I can imagine what a PTSD from a relationship or PTRD, how that affects you. You know what I'm saying? Because if driving was affected, I imagine loving is affected.
Yeah. And
So I probably
I
love
think
slower.
I definitely love slower. You're like,
Slow love better than no love. A wise man once said that.
who's that wise man?
It's this guy right here. I just made it up.
I think it also starts though, not only romantic relationships, right? It starts, like we said, from childhood. And a lot of the way I am in relationships stems from my childhood.
Can you give a specific detail?
Of course.
Without getting too personal.
No, I can. And I briefly mentioned it in the past, where I have a very anxious attachment style.
Yes.
And that stems from my dad, right? My parents split when I was like about 10. My dad had a whole nother family, right?
Before the split or after?
Before the split.
Your dad was
That's one of
Dominican?
the No, he's Puerto Rican.
Oh, wow. No shots.
That was definitely a shot. But he was Puerto Rican. I have a brother so it's me, then my brother, which is my half brother. We have same dad, different moms. And then my
Okay.
2 sisters that same mom and dad,
Okay.
right?
You got 2 sisters?
I have 2 sisters.
Younger sisters?
Younger. I'm the oldest.
2 younger sisters? How old are they?
So it's 34, 35. My brother's 36. And then I am 31, 39.
How your sisters look?
I don't know. I'll show you a picture. I mean, I don't know. I posted my sister. I mean, even I think last week when we went out, she tagged me on something. She's blonde.
I'm gonna have to go back and do
And
my
then
research.
my younger sister's married with 2 kids. She lives in Puerto Rico.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Did you ever live in Puerto Rico?
No,
Okay.
I did not. So when my parents split, right, my dad was always in our life, just very inconsistent. My dad, right, I'll give an example, and I've given this example before. He would be like, oh, I'm going to come pick you girls up. And we would wait by the window, right? We lived in West New York in a building, looking out the window of the 3rd floor, waiting for our dad to pick us up, and he would never show up, right?
That's
and then we wouldn't hear from him for like 2 weeks, and then we'd hear from him, right? So we got used to the breadcrumbing, the little pieces of attention.
Right.
And so I think that as an adult, right, that to me was love, right? So I grab every little piece of attention that you give me, every little breadcrumb, that's what I hold on to.
But you've evolved, no?
Right. And this is why I know that in my relationship, even though I've done the work, right? Therapy, I've done all of that, right? And you never really heal from that. You just learn how to cope with it, right? You learn now what triggers you.
Right.
You learn now what you need from a relationship, what you need from a partner, right? I need a partner that can communicate.
Right.
I need a partner that's going to be able to tell me, like, if we get into a fight. So now I'm anxious, right? I'm an anxious person. So if we get into an argument, let's say you and I are dating, we get into an argument, right? And you storm out the door. Right away, my head is like, oh, it's done. We're over, right? I need somebody. I'm the type that I want to talk about right then and there. I want to clear the air
I'm the same way.
because I need clarity. I need to know how I'm moving forward from this point on, right? But there's people, right, and people that I've dated that they're not like that.
Right.
They need time to process things, which is healthy, right? Because when you're having conversations and you're in your emotions, you're gonna say shit that you might not mean. You're gonna say maybe some harmful things, and you can't take those words back.
No, you cannot.
Right? And that sticks with you, right? Like, the person that says it, if you say something fucked up to me, that's gonna stay in the back of my mind. So there's people, right, that have learned that, okay, no, I need to, like, process this, think about it, and then I'll come back to the table. To me, that makes me anxious.
Right.
Because I don't know where I stand now. Now I'm like, okay, are we together? Are we not together? What do I do? What do I think?
And it's only been 3 minutes.
And it's only been 3 minutes, right? So what I need from my partner is somebody that's like, listen, you know, we're not on the same page right now. We're not communicating. Doesn't mean that it's done. I just need a minute to think about it, right? Like, communicate what you're thinking. Don't just storm out and then not talk to me for 3 days. I can't deal with that. I can't.
3 days is a long time.
2 days, 1 day, like, just tell me, listen, I just need a minute. I just need a minute, like.
But it's
we're okay. It's not me and you against each other. It's me and you against the problem.
But it's tough when one partner needs a minute and one partner is anxious.
Absolutely. But that's why communication, right?
You know, messes them up.
That's why I need to understand that my partner needs time. But I also need my partner to understand. I need you to communicate that, listen, we're good. We're not good, like that Usher song. Have you heard it?
New Usher?
Yeah, it's New Usher. It's we're not, I forgot. We're not good. We're good, but not good.
Okay.
So, like, we're good, right? Doesn't mean we're ending. We just need a little minute.
We just got to get back on
right. Like, just give me a minute to process my thoughts, right? And then I'm okay with that. Right. But if you're just storming, like, I can't deal with that. That gives me anxiety. And I'm not at peace. And that's what I'm on the hunt for, is just peace. And I have peace when I'm by myself. And now I've gotten to the point that if you don't,
when you say by myself, you mean single?
Single.
Okay.
Yeah. Single, I am, like, fucking at peace. Like, right? There's no sleepless nights. There's none of that.
Well, someone said that sleep requires peace. So if you are not at peace, you'll have difficulty sleeping.
Then I sleep a lot now, right? But
you're single.
Right, but I'm single.
So
and we all need connection, right? Like, I think as humans, that's the biggest part of us. We need connection. We need that human just relationships, love. Like, you know, we're all seeking that. But I just need someone that adds to that piece, right?
Right.
And it's not that everything has to be flowers and butterflies.
Well, it won't be.
And I don't want it to be.
It's an honest relationship.
I don't want it to be, right?
But you can overcome.
But just that clarity. I need that clarity. And that stems from, right, that fear of abandonment, right? From my dad, right? Not knowing when am I going to see him again? That to me has been a huge problem in my relationships as an adult.
So let me ask you something. Childhood trauma or complex trauma gave you these traits, right? I have more, by the way. Go ahead. It's only an hour show.
Damn.
Did anybody... Did your mom or anyone else give you any positive
Of course.
And can you speak on that?
Okay, so I'm going to give you one that is a positive and negative at the same time, right, from my mom. My mom is the most beautiful soul ever. Like,
shout out to moms.
Just such a good person, right? Like, loving, caring. And because of that, right, she didn't know when the right time to let go of my dad was. Okay. Right? And when she finally got the guts, right, and was like, you know, fuck that, I have to be a role model for my girls, which is something admirable, right? Okay. She also taught us to be extremely independent.
Yes.
Independent to a fault.
Correct.
Which is why I say it's a good thing and a bad thing, right?
Right.
My mom always told us like to never depend on a man, because the day he does you wrong, you don't have to like financially depend on him. You give him the boot and out the door. But that also affected relationships. When I was married, I never knew how to make a man feel wanted. To me, it was like, if I'm with you, it's because like I don't need you. I'm with you because I want to, right? Not because I need you. And everybody wants to feel
But if
needed.
you tell someone that, it's offensive.
What? Absolutely. But right, to not make them feel like needed.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not that I ever verbally went out and like, oh, I don't need you.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I didn't know what it was like to make a man feel needed, right? If I needed a fucking light bulb change, and this is like the stupidest example, right? But it's the first one that pops in my head. I'm like, oh, I'll do it my fucking self, right? Instead of, being like, let my man do it, right? Let him feel manly, right?
Yeah.
And I could do that shit
change the fuck out of a
myself,
light bulb,
That's me and my masculine, right? Being like,
here we go.
I'll do that shit myself, right? Instead of saying, babe, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Can you do that for me, right?
Yes, but you don't have to be so pitiful in asking.
No, I know that. I'm just being a little extra. Can I be a little extra?
Just ask normally. And we love to do that shit.
So, of course. And that's how, everybody wants to feel needed. Right. Even as a woman, we want to feel needed.
But you know what it is? It's not only that we feel needed. It's that when the task is completed, we feel accomplished. And not only that, we get to make y'all happy. And we get to see that in real time. Like, oh, shit, I changed the fucking light bulb. I could have did that shit in my sleep. But look how happy it made her. You know what I'm saying? So we enjoy that aspect, too. So in denying him, allowing him to do that, you also denied him the happiness of completing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think even to...
Are you still that way?
I was just going to say, I think in certain little aspects, but I'll catch myself and I'm like, like I think for a long time, right? A guy, and I love a man that opens the door for me, right? Chivalry, like I love that shit. But for a long time, I'll open my own door, right? Now I'm like, I'm not fucking opening the door until you open it for me, right?
Teach him. That's a lost art, opening the door for women, pulling the chair for women.
Yep.
Such a small act can have a profound effect on the relationship, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you're just showing her how much you think about her and how much you respect her and wouldn't allow her to do such menial things like open a door, like
everything, or like the walking on the one side of the street, right? Like the outside of the street.
All right, let's put this out there now, because I feel like everybody doesn't know this. I don't know if it's an East Coast thing. I don't know if it's a Latino thing. I don't know if it's a man thing, but I feel like it's not globally known. Fellas, when you're walking with your lady down the street, down the road, down the mountain, whatever the fuck, if the street is here, you be here and let her be here.
She has to be on the inside.
She has to be on the inside away from the cars. Just in case, God forbid, a car jumps the curb and is going to hit y'all, you can push her and take all the brunt. Or, just in case, she starts talking mad shit and you're sick of it and the bus is coming, you jump to the right and end it, bruh, because you can't take it no more. No, don't do that. But definitely protect your lady. Walk on the outside of the street. And see, this is the trick. This is where brothers be fucking up. When y'all cross the street diagonally and y'all now on the other street, very smoothly grab her with a little waist and move her to the right and put yourself on the left, and you'll always be in the right position. And a real woman will notice that and appreciate it.
It's not only a Latino thing, because I've dated.
It's not a Latino thing.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
I've dated non-Latinos, and they've done that. They're just, they'll.
Okay. Well, respect to them. Yeah. Maybe it's a parenting thing.
Maybe.
Maybe
I
fathers
just think
need to teach it downward.
It's not taught as often now, I think.
Chivalry itself is fading.
It really is.
And that's probably a conversation for another episode, but I think the internet has a lot to do with it. Dating apps, how you're meeting people, expectations. There's a lot of factors, but definitely women of a certain pedigree will appreciate chivalry and being treated a certain way. And it'll take your relationship and your standing with that female a long way if you do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's words from a wise man. So follow that.
Who's that wise man?
The wisest, Uncle Joe.
Wait, what about you? Before you jump to anything else.
Shoot, what about me? I always walk on the outside.
No.
Yeah, I always make sure. Like that's
Tell me
second
about like
nature.
your childhood, like upbringing.
Oh,
How has that affected?
I've spoken about this previously. So when I was a child, and I don't want to get like too in detail, but I witnessed firsthand both of my creators, for lack of a better word, cheat. Right? Like I saw that in person, both cheating and both their partners. Matter of fact, this reminds me of a funny story, right? When I was in high school, my mother had an affair, and I met the dude, and I knew his name, and I knew he had 2 daughters, and I was plotting to fuck one of his daughters in revenge for him
Only
being
you.
my mom's
He would-
side piece.
How old are you?
I was in high school, so I was a good 15, 16, 17 or something. But that was like my revenge plan, like, because I felt like low key he had, messed up my parents' relationship. It was not true because their relationship had way more issues than that. But because I felt he had caused me some pain somewhere in my diabolical mind, I thought if I smash his daughter, it might cause him some pain,
I'm
and
sure
we'll
it
be
would've.
equal, and I would have felt better. I never accomplished it, but if you went to high school around in North Bergen in '96 or '97, and I was trying to bag you, it might have just been a revenge plot. So think about that.
Your dad might have been screwing his mom.
Yeah, and I was out for bloody revenge. But I never got it.
I got it.
So in seeing that, both of my parents do what they did, and I'm sure they had their reasons, and I'm not here to judge nor condemn.
Right.
But I had a misunderstanding of what love was. I had a misunderstanding of what proper communication between lovers was, and I had a misunderstanding in thinking that cheating was almost normal. You know what I'm saying? So as I grew older and started going into relationships, I was a notorious cheater because I thought that was just normal. And, if I cheat on you, but I come home and maybe bring you a gift, you should be all right, because that's what I had grown up seeing. And not to put the blame on them. And, you have to heal and learn from these things. But definitely the way they were and what they did led me down a negative path. So I was talking about a relationship I had with a young lady, and we lived together, and our relationship reminded me a lot of my parents' relationship, and I had vowed to not allow history to repeat itself. So I didn't want to treat her how my dad treated my mom. But so when we would argue, I would like kind of shut down and not participate in the argument. And maybe I wouldn't communicate for a day or two, right? And I thought that was the right way to do it because it was the opposite of what I had seen. But come to find out, ironically, that in doing so, I pushed her away, which was like my number one goal of things not to do. And I had to learn to communicate through anger or disappointment or upsetness.
So do you think that you have more of like an avoidant attachment style?
At that time, I did. Now I'm more in the vein of you, where if we're having an argument, let's talk it out now and let's fix it. Because I hate to sit in the anger. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the type that...
Which is not healthy
when I get upset, I'll be upset for like 3 days.
It's not healthy either because sometimes we have to sit in our emotions, feel them, work through them, and then release them.
Right, but I think it depends on the
forward.
emotion, right? Because let's say you have a negative emotion within caused by yourself or caused by something you don't control or caused by someone who's not your partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you maybe can't communicate and work it through. But your partner, you should be able to communicate and work it through. Now, if you are so upset that you're afraid you're going to say something you'll regret, then yes, take your time.
Not only that, but sometimes, right, when, especially, you know, if you're like an anxious person, when you go through something, you're feeling something, you haven't fully thought everything out.
Right.
Right? So
And
right
you're
now
very
you're just
emotional.
you're reacting on emotion.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing, right? Because then
Well, you
we
should
lose
never react on
logic.
emotion.
Logic goes out the
Yeah,
door,
yeah.
right? And now we're reacting on emotion.
Right.
So it's not healthy to talk about things when you're in your feelings. You have to be able
It
to.
depends.
I feel like you have to be able to process things so that the logic comes back, right? Because when you think about things logically, you're like, all right, this makes sense. In your emotions, after you get through that emotion, right, you're like, damn, why did I decide that? Like that's not even how I really feel.
Right, but it depends on the offense. Because if it's a minor offense, y'all could talk it through. It's not going to be so emotional.
Right,
You're
but
not
then
so
it
hurt.
wouldn't really be that big of a conflict, right? If
Right.
it's a minor thing,
Well, a
right?
minor
We're talking
thing,
about like
a major
you know,
thing.
a major thing. I really
It depends
think
on it too, though. And it depends on the relationship. It depends on the people. It depends on their emotional maturity and emotional control. You know what I'm saying? Where this couple A, one of them may need a day or two to process the emotions and properly deliver their feelings. Couple B, they might be the ones that they fix it in 5 minutes and everything comes out and take it or leave it. You know what I'm
or
saying?
there's couple C where they don't talk about anything. They brush things under the rug.
Oh, no,
and
no,
then
that's
later
the worst.
on, that just blows
Yeah.
up.
No,
right?
that's the
And
worst.
that's actually more common than maybe the other two.
Probably yes, but
Yeah.
it's also the most dangerous
Oh,
because
of
when you
course.
blow up out of anger and emotion, you say things like you said that
Mm-hmm.
can't be taken back, yo. And them things, yo.
Or you don't
You'll
talk, or
forget
you
what
don't
you
talk
said.
about things at all. What
Well,
happens when
that's
you don't
terrible.
talk about things? You brush things under the rug. It gets to the point that it builds, it
Well,
builds,
that's
it
what I
builds.
mean.
Now you've got a lump under your carpet.
When that lump blows
and
up,
when it blows
you
up, yeah,
say
you
everything.
everything.
And you say things that are hurtful
Mm-hmm.
that because
Yeah.
you're emotional, you may not even realize you're saying, you may not even remember saying it, but
Yeah.
your partner will never forget what you said. You know what I'm saying? And that I've lived
Yeah.
through where I hurt someone and in order for them to feel retribution, they hurt me verbally, but they said things that they couldn't take back. And later, when I reminded them or asked them about these things that they had spoken of, they didn't even remember saying it.
Yeah.
And it was some of the most hurtful shit that, like, I think I'm still scarred by it. You know what I'm
Listen,
saying?
that saying that sticks and stones, but words will never hurt me, that's bullshit.
Oh, that's bullshit.
That's bullshit because
That's actually
sticks and stones, those bruises will go
those
away.
heal way faster than the word
The
scars.
words, yo, those shits hurt.
Guess what the word scars give you? PTRD, post-traumatic relationship disorder. I'm a
We need to add
copyright
that,
that,
to the
LLC that, all
Webster
that. Yeah, man.
dictionary.
Because I feel like a lot of us have that, and the only way to heal it is with time, probably with therapy. Like, don't be afraid of therapy, bro. And therapy doesn't have to be, I'm gonna go see my psychiatrist and lay on his couch and he's gonna take notes and shit.
It doesn't even have to be
It doesn't have to be a
therapist.
professional, no.
You can go to meditation. You can do breath work. You can do. There's a lot of like self-help books. You know, even going to work out. Right, that's a form of therapy. That's a way to release, you know, pent-up emotions.
And then
I
you
don't.
can see your friends. You can talk to your friends.
Right,
You can talk
your
to your
friends,
family. My pastor, Pastor Steve, out right here in Oberga, matter of fact, he served as my therapist for like a
Yeah.
good 2 years. And we wouldn't even necessarily, when I would go see him, it wouldn't be that we would have to talk about the relationship. Sometimes we would just talk and we'd talk music. But it's just the fact that someone is listening. You know what I'm saying? When you're used to not being listened to, you appreciate that someone is listening, even if you're talking some bullshit.
Yeah, and I
So,
mean, most of the time,
Speak
right?
to somebody.
Yeah,
Or
and-
do the alone stuff. The
Right, or
meditation,
do
yoga,
the
workout.
alone, or just have that one person that it's not even that they have to give you advice, right? Because sometimes when we just need to let it out, and sometimes just hearing yourself say shit, you find your own answers. That's what therapists do. They don't tell you what to do. A therapist will listen to you and ask you questions to kind of to get your mind thinking, and you answer your own questions.
And you often already know the answer.
Of course, we all know the answers.
I have a mentor, Milton. Shout out to Milton Rivera. I love you. You're my guy. I often call him when I have big decisions to make. And the first thing he tells me every time I call him, he'd be like, you know the answer. You already know the answer. You're calling me so I could like verify the answer or tell you, yes, you're right, or co-sign your answer.
Right.
But you fucking know the answer. It's already inside of you and it's already decided and you know what you're going to do.
It's gone through your head a million times already. And you're like, you know what you should do.
But he'll still take the time and listen to me and give me advice. And normally, I already knew the fucking answer and he was right. So shout out to my bro Milton.
And you're never going to fully heal, right? I think you just learn different like coping mechanisms, right? Yeah. Where you're just like for me, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm feeling this anxiousness coming on, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of me reacting on emotion, I'm like, all right, let me just breathe it through, give it a minute, process it, and then go ahead and react, right? Because I am really quick to react on emotion. Because when I put my heart into something, I put my heart into it.
Now, is this something that you feel you are improving on?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you were more emotional before.
My God, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Were you an emotional mess?
Listen. I was a hot mess.
Yeah. And how did you improve? Therapy?
Just over time, right?
Yoga.
Therapy and just like realizing, okay, I'm going into these relationships, right? This is not working out. And instead of me blaming the other person, it was like, okay, what role am I playing in this? Right? Because I can't play the victim role all the time.
Before the cameras came on, didn't you say you were often the toxic one in the relationship?
I said that?
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Maybe not like that. Did you say something like that?
I said, I'm sure I've been the toxic one in relationships.
My bad.
We've all been. We've all been. Look at you.
Don't speak for yourself. I've never been.
Shut up. We've all been the toxic ones, right? I'm sure there's people that can say stories, right? There's that saying, right? Like, you can talk to one person.
Did a wise man say it?
I don't know who said it. Okay, sorry, I gotta start.
Whack.
I saw it somewhere on TikTok.
All right, finish
or
it
something.
though. You can talk to one.
But it was saying, no, like you can talk to one person and they can say I'm the most amazing person. You can talk to somebody else and be like, yo, she's like a vicious bitch, right? Believe them both.
Right. You get what you deserve.
Right.
As far as treatment.
And not only that, but I think every relationship brings out a different side of you.
Correct.
Depending on the complexity of the relationship and all of that. So yes, I've absolutely been the toxic person.
Have you caused someone PTSD or PTRD? Do you think?
I'm sure.
Do you think any of them would be willing to discuss it?
I don't think so.
Oh, boring.
I would hope not.
Can I have their phone numbers and find out?
No.
Boring.
Can I have the phone numbers of yours?
They would never talk bad about me.
I'm not saying that they would talk bad, but they would be like, yo, she fucking broke my heart or something.
Wow.
But I'm sure you've broken more hearts than I ever have.
Me? Never. I don't break hearts.
Joe.
I don't. I have.
Joe, you're being toxic right now.
No, I have.
You're lying.
I have, and I will go on record, on camera, and apologize to any female whose heart I've broken with or emotions I played with when I was emotionally unstable. So I was wrong for that, and y'all deserved better. I will also go on record, on camera, and say that the last relationship I was in that caused me PTRD and PTSD and fucking trauma and all kinds of crazy shit, I most likely caused equal or more trauma and PTSD and PTRD to the person that I was in a relationship with. And for that, I will be eternally sorry because you did not deserve that. When I met you, you were a bubbly, loving person. And when I left you, you were a different person. And I'm sure a lot of that had to do with how I treated you and how I mistreated you. So for that, I apologize.
This is a conversation that needs to be had. Whoever you are, young lady.
A conversation that will never be had.
Unless you give me her number, I might be able to make it happen.
No, I wouldn't, because she scares me. Yeah, she scares me in the sense that it's almost like I'm addicted to her.
Oof.
Right? So any interaction with her, like, starts the emotional voyage again. And it always starts with love, right? So if I interact with her, I love her again. And then we go through the
I was
same
just
cycle,
having this conversation with Dolly.
right?
I was
And then
sharing something with her,
we
and I was
always
like,
end up we always end up not talking, you know? I wrote a book for her called 500 Days, because we went 500 days without talking. That's how on and off we were. And then 501, we was back together like if that happened. You feel me? So it's very dangerous. So I would rather. You ever seen the movie The Butterfly Effect with
really bad memory. I probably
Ashton
have.
Kutcher?
what is it about?
It's about a kid who has the ability to time travel by writing about a specific event. So anytime he writes about an event, he's able to go back in time to that event and potentially change the future, right? So he falls in love with this girl, and she's being sexually abused by her father. And I believe the father ends up killing her or something. So he goes back in time to try to save her. And every time he goes back, the ending is still fucked up. Until he goes back and kind of like shits on her so that she never talks to him again, as children. And that's how he saves her. So in order to save her, he had to lose her completely. And I kind of feel like in order for her to live happily and love properly,
You need to be.
I have to be completely out of the
picture.
picture. So in essence,
I get that.
I am sacrificing for her to live
I get
better
that.
life.
I was actually having this
And
conversation.
that shit is whack.
I was having this conversation with Dolly, and I was just sharing with her, and I was like, I'm not ready to see this person in person.
Hugo?
I said I wouldn't talk about him.
Oh, my bad. Hugo's not even a real person. It is.
He's not, but he knows he's Hugo.
He knows he's Hugo?
He knows he's Hugo.
Ah, you fucked up the game. Shout out to Hugo.
I didn't tell him. If you watch the show and you know my situation, you're gonna know who Hugo is.
My bad. My bad, Hugo.
So.
Okay.
Anyways.
So not
whatever.
Hugo.
Anyways, forget it. Skip that. Let's go on to the next. What else do you have in your notebook?
In my notes. That's really about it, man. Complex trauma, childhood trauma. Don't hit your kids excessively. But a good little tate quieto here and there.
I think it depends on your kid, though, because I've never had to hit my kids. I mean, my kids are
of
really
course
well
it depends
behaved.
on the kid.
But I've also always sat with my kids and be like, do you understand what you did wrong? Like adult conversations, you know, not just like yelling. It was like, do you understand what you did wrong? Do you understand the consequences that come with this? Now this is what happens when you do that.
Most kids that need a cocotazo is because of their parents.
Yeah.
And their lack of already established discipline. But don't beat your kids. I don't have to say don't touch your kids. And if I have to tell you that, you're fucking sicko. So don't watch the show. Verbal abuse. Don't underestimate the power of causing pain and trauma that verbal abuse can have, not only between parent and child, also between partners. What you might consider a joke, your partner might take to heart and be hurt for a long time.
Or emotional abuse with your kids, right? Sometimes we don't think,
or
right?
your partner too, both.
Being unavailable for your kids, that affects them in the future, right? Like little girls, when their dads are not there, right? Now they're gonna think that that's love. So who are they gonna attract? Men that are emotionally unavailable, men that are not there, taking the breadcrumbs, right?
Inconsistent.
Which is why I'm so big on consistency.
So big. What else? Kids see things. Remember, they may not be able to speak on it at the moment, but they may see things that will cause them trauma or some type of complex in the future. Go to therapy, y'all. It doesn't have to be professional therapy, but go speak and understand your emotions and why you feel a certain way.
Or, I mean, if you believe in God, just talk to God. Talk to
God's
a higher
the ultimate
power.
therapist.
God. I mean, you know, people call it different things, right? If you believe in a higher power, just sit there and just let it out. Like, let go and let God.
You know what
Put
else?
it on
Journal.
God.
A lot of
Journal,
people
yes.
underestimate the power that journaling has, and letting out your emotions at the end of the day, and then coming back the next day and reading about it and seeing how you.
I have a
progress.
journal, and I've actually now like started, instead of journaling, right? Because I'm like, oh, it takes so much time to write. I do voice notes, right? And just
Do you
kind
go
of
back and listen to them though?
I do.
Okay.
I do on more on like my bad days.
Yeah.
I go back and I listen, and I'm like, damn, I was really having a rough day. Today is not so bad.
Right.
And I just record voice notes. Like, thank God I have a password on my phone, because if I lost my phone, somebody be able to.
They'd be like,
yo,
this girl's
bitch is crazy. Exactly.
But it's good that you're letting it out, whatever
Yeah.
the medium is, whether it's verbalizing it through voice note, prayer, journaling it, if you go exercise, if you go run, whatever the case may be, as long as you're letting that energy have the opportunity to exit your body, it's going to feel good, and it's going to clear your mind and allow you to make better decisions and less irrational, emotion-fueled decisions, which we all want to try to avoid. And a wise man once said this.
Who's
I don't
this wise
remember
man?
this wise man,
Oh,
but
damn.
he said, there's no emotion in business. So when you're conducting business, not relationship, because relationships are not business, and if your relationship is a business, you're starting on the wrong foot. But when you are conducting business, there should be no emotion involved. All your decisions should be logical and rational and based on the probability of success for that business. Now, you can apply that to a relationship in a sense, but you have to have the emotions included to then allow that relationship the opportunity to flourish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and just surround yourself around people that are on the same like frequency as you.
Right. The same
Right.
vibration. Yeah.
I think that's critically important.
Shout out to that, man. Shout out to everybody tuned in. Shout out to everybody who sends questions and or answers, who provides feedback. Negative shout out to all y'all dissing Mama Les and her 5 head. Like, let her live. She don't even
Can I
control
live?
that,
I
man.
mean, you're pointing out the obvious. Everybody could fucking see it.
So there's a theory on Twitter.
About
right?
big foreheads?
About big foreheads.
Okay.
Right? So they say 4
No, I got like
is the
5.
limit.
My hand is little,
right?
so 5.
Anything over 4
Is a big.
is a big forehead. But not
Okay.
only that, the more over 4 it is,
Uh-huh.
the more crazy she is. So you look like you had about 6 or so.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. You know what? You might be right. Shut up.
So
I
that
got a
means
small
she
hand and it's
crazy.
5. Shut the fuck up, Joe.
No, big foreheads run in my family. Yo.
Listen,
So
there's
it's
a
not
lot
a-
of beautiful women with
yeah.
big foreheads.
Rihanna got a big ass forehead.
Thank
She's
you.
the most beautiful
She
woman
is
on the
fucking
planet.
hot as shit. Anyways.
Forehead finder coming soon.
I mean,
Mama
listen,
Les.
if you're going to make a comment about my forehead, at least add something afterwards that's relevant to what we're talking about, right? Like, come
Why don't we
headbutt
why don't
my
we
girl,
decorate
my
it?
ex-girl, and then comment something that has to do with what we're talking about.
True.
And if you're going to pay me, I might just do it. Let's make money off of it. Yeah?
Holla.
Okay. Let's do it.
Them headbutts look like they're gonna be vicious.
Yeah, don't fucking play with me. I'm about to headbutt you right now.
For Christmas, can we hang some ornaments on that shit?
Joe.
Tinsel? Men lie, women lie, and all foreheads die. The podcast, and we out.